So once again, this is Mercedes Martinez. Make sure that you subscribe to my boy stuff at DNC Digital. You got to see me on his program. You get to see other people. He's mad cool. You won't regret it. Trust me, you won't regret it.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy D from DNT Digital. Today's guest is Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes is a 21-year veteran of professional wrestling that has traveled all around the world and is very well traveled, competing for AEW, Shimmer, Shine, Ring of Honor, and most recently WWE. Mercedes, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me. I'm excited today.
Yeah, so am I. The funny thing is that we started becoming, Instagram buddies. I want to say around last year, around this time last year, because I did a Hispanic Heritage Month poster, and I involved you in it, and I tagged you in it, and then you posted it yourself, and then we've been talking ever since. So, staying on that topic, what does Hispanic Heritage Month mean for you in the world of professional wrestling now that you're a veteran?
Oh, I think it's more for recognition. Like everyone looks at Hispanic Heritage Month in professional wrestling more for the lucha libre style and the Mexicans and stuff, and they forget that there's other cultures and other races that are part of that Hispanic heritage. Me being a Puerto Rican, there's Cubans, there's Dominican Republic. There's just so many variety of Hispanics that we are just now becoming more in the forefront. So for me, even being a female and Hispanic, this month means so much just in professional wrestling where we can take some of the focus away. Not to say that, it's not legit for the Mexicans, but we want to put more focus on the other cultures and the other Hispanics in professional wrestling because we just don't get the recognition that we deserve, in my opinion, anyhow.
Right. So, a proud Puerto Rican yourself, I love the food. What would be the main dish that you would cook for my girlfriend and I if we were to visit?
Main dish, man. I don't even cook at home. What are you talking about?
You don't cook? Oh man, I want some like pernil and arroz con gandules and all that. Oh, that stuff is so good. Pernil with
Like if
extra
I can
skin.
you know what, it's funny because like a lot of friends call me a fake Puerto Rican, and it's not that I'm fake or anything. It's true though. It's not that I'm fake. It's just I'm very what we call Americanized. You know what I mean? Like I'm more
Gotcha.
New York Rican. My mom is from New York, and just I didn't get brought up in that aspect of a Puerto Rican household where I had to speak the language. I had to learn how to cook or anything. I was always an athlete, so I was always away from home.
Hmm,
So I
hmm.
didn't learn how to cook. I didn't learn because my focus was more on just athletes and just traveling the world, and that was my main focus. So not that I'm fake or anything, y'all. It's just, I didn't want to learn how to cook because that's not my forte. I still don't like to cook. My kitchen is usually pristine clean. Like the stove and the
Nice.
oven doesn't get used a lot. But if it came down to food, like my favorite food would be like yellow rice with gandules with like
Yes.
coleslaw, but homemade coleslaw. Like you have
Hmm.
to cut it yourself and put your own stuff, or pork chop and some chicken.
Hell yeah,
Like
that
I'm
sounds
that's
amazing.
my favorite food, and my mom, yeah, my mom makes that when I come and
So you
visit her.
mentioned
So
that you
that's all.
mentioned
That's all
that
I eat really. I don't eat really.
you mentioned that your focus was a lot into sports because you played softball and basketball in high school. Now, when it comes to, it's funny because you're portrayed and you're a woman. After a lot of conversations, I know that you just don't play by the rules and you like to do your own thing, and that's so cool about you. But what kind of parallels did basketball and softball prepare you for as far as being in high pressure situations and performing in them?
It prepared me a lot. I mean, when it came to like wrestling, I was a very shy kid, and a lot of people don't realize that I was very shy, very just inward. I didn't have a lot of friends or anything like that. My focus was more just to get away from the struggles from where I was growing up. So when it came to high pressure stuff, basketball actually prepared me for that a lot more than most people think. I was thrown in a situation where in basketball where I was a freshman coming in to become a starter, and I never played for a team ever,
Mm.
like ever for high school or even middle school. So I came into a high pressure system right off the bat. And, I came from a street ball sense of playing basketball. So everything was just very, there's no nonsense. You throw the elbows, you get a flagrant. It's okay. It just means that they're not going to come at you again later on. So it was always dominate first, deal with the consequences later. You make your mark real quick, so you let people know not to mess with you right off the bat. And that's what I did with everything. And the crowds weren't as big when I was in high school, but when I got to college and played college ball, that's where the crowds were super huge, and that's where the pressure really got to me. And it was just like, oh shit, like damn, like this is 3, 4, 500 people in the stands cheering for your team. And if you mess up, they're going to give you shit about it. So you
Mhm.
really have to perform at a high level in college. And it prepared me a little bit for wrestling, because I was, like I said, I was very shy when I started at wrestling. I was very just observant and just learning. And even with my first match in my hometown, it was just like, oh, all right, so I have to perform and I can't mess up. Like, this is how it works. And if you mess up, then your hometown people are going to give you shit for the rest of your life. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
But I think it prepares you. Yeah, it definitely prepared me for that. And just being an athlete, you kind of get used to the criticism. You get used to the cheers. You get used to everything, and you just have to have a thick skin. No matter what sport you play, you have to have thick skin, and you have to learn from the mistakes that you made, and just deal with the fact that if you're in a high tier profession and you're at the top of your game, that you have to stay there at all times, at least
Hmm.
95%.
Yep.
At least at 95% of the time. You're allowed to fall back a little bit, but you really have to stay on top of your game. And that's where the training and everything comes into play. And just if you can be hard on yourself, then no one else is going to be harder than you in reality. Like, I'm 10 times harder than anybody on me, more than my coaches, more than my trainers. I'm my harshest critic. If I think something went wrong, whether it was playing basketball or in a match, people think I did great, and I'm like, well, I could have done this better. I'm my harshest critic, and I'm always learning from every match that I do. So it definitely, any sports that you play will always prepare you for wrestling, always,
You've been
no
very
matter what.
open. You've been very open about the fact that you encountered bullying as a kid. And so my question is that if anybody can learn from this, because I remember managing a restaurant and there was a kid that you probably look at him and you're like, well, he looks like he may not be the most popular kid at school, but we love that kid. Like, that kid was our kid. And if anybody messed with that kid, they had to deal with all the cooks and all the people in the front because we all took care of them. If anybody can learn anything, if there's anybody that feels alone or feels like they don't have any friends, how important is organized sports for a kid at that age?
Oh, it's super important. And I can tell you just from my own experience, I was bullied even before I can play organized sports. Playing at the Y or something like that, that's totally different than when you get to a middle school level and play on teams and travel on teams. Because you're actually away from home. You're actually away from your friends that you hang out with on an everyday basis. This is a
Mm.
team that you see and train with, but you don't get to actually spend time with them unless you choose to. I was very I was very what they call socially awkward.
Okay.
So I didn't really, yeah, I didn't click with the cool kids. I didn't click with the freaks. I didn't click with really anybody. I was just very just, let me get through this day. Let me just play my basketball to get my frustrations out. And bullying, and when the kids bullied me, it was just like, you don't know what to do with your emotions. You're angry, you're sad, you're like, why is this happening to me? So you take it out on whatever sports that you have. And basketball was my outlet. And I would take out every frustration I could on the court.
Is
As
that
many
why those
flagrant fouls
elbows
as
were
I've
flying?
gotten and how many girls have I hurt, they have to.
Yeah.
They had to. It wasn't that I was a reckless player. It was just on the court, people saw me as this awkward girl wearing glasses and very just like, I was just a weird looking kid, bro. It was just they thought that they could take advantage of me. And sometimes you're in the court, you just had enough, and I had enough of it. So I would just say, forget this. I'm just going to do what I have to do to show them that I'm not who you think I am, and I'm going to show you that I can fight back. Whether if I give you a busted nose, if I get a flagrant, if I get fouled out, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you that when you come down my lane, that this is what you're going to get. And then after the game, I'm fine. I'm very quiet. I'm just like, all right, leave me alone. I'm going home, off to my merry way.
Totally different
But it's like
person.
night and yeah, it's really
It
night
was
and
like,
day.
wait, hold up. She was just yelling and throwing elbows, and now she's the sweetest girl handing out popcorn to all the parents.
Yeah. I was just like, hey guys, it's that. I'm like, hi. I was super shy, but once I got on the court, it's like this whole new like Mercedes would come out, and it'd be like, oh my God, this is not the same person. So it translates to wrestling too. Like if you see me in the ring, I'm a totally different person in the ring than I am outside of the ring. It's
Yeah.
two different personas. And it's just one of those things where you just channel all your energy and whatever it is that's going on in your life, you channel it to whatever your profession is or whatever it is that you have to do to get a different side out of you, whether it's in wrestling it's your character, or in basketball and stuff. It was just, I had to find an outlet to be aggressive, and that's what it was. And it was very constructive aggressive.
No, yes. I'm not gonna
At least
disagree
it was
with
in
you
sports and
at
wasn't doing
all.
something else. Yeah,
I want to
exactly.
I
It
want to
took a
be on
long
your
time
good
though.
side. I know damn well not to disagree with Mercedes Martinez. So
Yeah, well now.
you move on to you move on to if I can pronounce this correctly, Takeo University. Um,
Yes, take you.
play some basketball, and I learned that you majored in criminal justice. So my question to you would be, what is one of your favorite episodes of Law and Order?
You see, I don't watch Law and Order unless it's
I was
SVU.
afraid of that. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Okay, yes, it's SVU.
Oh, for
That's the
special
only Law
victims,
and Order for me. That's the only
that's
Law and
the
Order
only Law and
that
Order.
is the
Yes,
only Law and Order that exists. Are you watching it
yes.
tonight, by the way? They're finally coming back.
No. I don't have cable, so it's something that I have to stream.
Ah, gotcha. You gotta wait for
So
tomorrow for Hulu. But
yeah, I gotta wait till the next day or the day after to watch stuff because I don't have cable. I'm never home really, so I have to watch
so,
everything after the fact.
what was one of your favorite storylines of the show?
Oh, there's so many considering that it's been around forever and a day.
Yeah.
It's not really episodes that I'm into. It's more or less the stories because there's a lot of stories that I can relate to when it comes to that show.
Okay.
In my life, there's the sexual assaults, and those are stuff that, not to say that I relate to it in a personal way, just people in my life that I know encounter that I had to be there to support them and feel their pain, like stuff like that really gets to me, and anything to do with children because
Oh, of course, yeah.
yeah, with kids, and that hits heart to the core, with me and my son who's 13. If any of that stuff happens to him, like it hits hard to the core. What people don't realize is that Law and Order SVU really gets you, man. That gets
Hmm.
emotional. Like it
No,
hits
yeah.
you right to the heart. Like, so there's not really episodes per se. I think every episode has its own emotional attachment to it, so I tend to just watch it and be like, all right, this episode's good, but not as good as the one was last week where it was like
Right,
child
right.
abuse. Like you can feel those are the ones that I tend to, so there's not really an episode that
Right. No,
I
no,
per
I
se, because
understand.
there's so many. I mean, I've been watching it for what, 10, 11, maybe even 12 years. Like
Yeah.
there's just too many.
No, there's a whole bunch of storylines, but there's a couple that you're just sitting there in tears because it's you you kind of they all take um they all take from actual stories. They don't make it they don't make it exactly that story that happened, but they take from stories. And it just makes you think like, man, if somebody had to go through that, that sucks. You wanted to be a cop at one point. So when you look at Hollywood, which would be the movie that maybe you feel, because I know you left college, but from what you've learned, what's one movie that you feel is the closest to the real thing?
SWAT.
SWAT? SWAT?
Yes.
SWAT? I saw
Yes,
that movie
SWAT.
after
I
like
wanted to
15
be
years
in,
the other day.
I wanted to be a member of the SWAT team. Like that was my goal. When I did criminal justice, like, all right, I'm gonna become a cop. I know I'm gonna walk the damn beat on the street. I'm gonna walk and I'm gonna ride a bike, but I'm gonna work my way up to SWAT. Like that's what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to be like the woman and be like, yeah, I'm the boss. Like I'm the shit.
Oh my God. I saw that movie the other day and I was like, now I remember why it took me 15 years to watch this again.
Don't play it down. All right. It was good when it came out.
It
Okay.
was good. It was good for its time. I was thinking like End of Watch though. Have you seen End of Watch?
No,
Oh,
no.
you need to with Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Pena. That stuff. I've spoken to police officers and they've told me that that's pretty much how it is. So
Oh,
you get
really?
an injury in basketball, and it makes you kind of leave that sport. You kind of say that wrestling just fell on your lap, but and you also talk about wrestling in past interviews that timing is everything. So it's, you know, everything lined up, and now you're starting professional wrestling. Um, what was your main approach to that? The thought process. It was like, well, I mean, am I going to try this out or am I going to throw myself into this?
I think at that time it was coming from an injury. I couldn't go back to college because they were going to redshirt me, which basically means you can still be on the team, but they kind of take away your scholarship
Got it.
for the most part. Yeah, so it was like financially, it was kind of hard for me, growing up. Um, in poverty level and just trying to figure out like where things go. A scholarship meant everything to me because it's how I got to college. Like I couldn't afford college at all. So the injury happened and they redshirted me and I was like, all right, whatever. I started going into a few indie shows with a few of my friends, never even knew what indie shows was ever. Like I'd
Hmm.
never been to a wrestling event like on the independence level. Um, so I started going to those and I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. Like this is something affordable. And then it to be honest, it really did just fall in my lap. Like when I say timing, it just literally just boom. It was like my trainer Jason Knight opened up his school in my hometown. And I didn't know who Jason Knight was. Like I didn't even know what ECW was at that time. It was
Hmm.
just his school open literally down the street from where I worked and where I lived. So I was like, all right, let me try this out. Was next to a gym. So of course I would go to the gym. So I was like, all right, let me try this out. Let me walk in. And I was just like, all right, this is cool. And I was like, I didn't even know you're supposed to train for wrestling. Like I never knew that either. They're like, yeah, you just got to train, come in here. I worked at a dry cleaners at that time. So my tuition was really different than most people's tuition because my dry cleaners was also had a seamstress in there. So my trainer would be like, well, can you have them fix my gear? We'll just
Wow.
take it
So
off your
you
tuition. I was like, all
oh
right.
you were doing gear for dues. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it was like a barter system.
Nice.
But I literally jumped in it just not knowing what I was going to do with it. I was like, all right, maybe I'll do this just to have fun. Maybe it'll get me back in shape for wrestling. I mean, for basketball when I'm ready to go back. Because it was only for, 1 semester that they were going to redshirt me and then I can go back. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll do that. And then literally 4 weeks after training, it was like, you're going to have your first match. And I was like, but I don't know, this is what I want to do, but all right. I had no gear, no boots, no nothing. I went in there, wrestled my first match, and that was all it took for me to say, you know what? This is what I want to do. Yes, this is exactly what I was here for. This is why it came into my life at this moment. And after that, it was full time, full fledged. I said, forget college for a hot minute. Let me see what I can do for here. Let me work my full time job and do my barter system. Make my have them make my gear because they can make my gear there. Like it legit just kind of just fell right in my lap. When I say that, it legit just fell. Like I'm not lying about that. I didn't want to become a pro wrestler. It just so happened that the universe said, Mercedes, you are going to be a pro wrestler, whether you like it or not. Here it is. Everything just lined up perfectly. And I haven't stopped since.
That's all. Yeah, it's been a little over 20 years, and now you're going back into the indies. You have these awesome. What I can think of awesome matches coming up is Holodead, Thunder Rosa, Diana Perrazzo, and you are just everywhere already. So now that you're back into it, coming from a large company, what's one thing that you missed about indie wrestling, and what's one thing that you didn't miss about indie wrestling?
I don't miss the travel.
Okay.
The long days and the travel. I think the travel takes more out of you than the actual match itself and
Okay.
the actual show day. The long travels of constantly like getting up super early to catch a flight at like 5 a.m. And then coming home, the night, like the same night or sometimes the next day at 5 a.m. Like that's because you get no sleep. That's what I don't miss. Is it worth it? Of course it is. The
Hmm.
biggest part of the independent wrestling that I really miss is really the locker room.
Hmm.
Um, you know, uh, for so long, for 19 years, I've traveled with all these men and females, and you become like this camaraderie, like legit, like everyone is your friend and they know you outside of wrestling. They really become a part of your life. They really become family. And that is the one thing that I miss the most. Is going into a locker room and really everyone being genuine and not everyone trying to step on you to grab a spot, because everyone is a spot on the card. Whether you're the first match or the main event, everyone is very supportive of wherever you are, what you're going to do. And that's what I missed. Not to say that, the company, for WWE didn't do that. I just didn't know anybody there, like on a
Sure.
personal level.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming in and you're like this big name, I guess you can say, and you're respectful, everyone likes you, but it's a different atmosphere. Whereas when you come to Amy, you can just relax and just really be yourself. Outside of Mercedes, you can just be like, yeah, I'm Mercedes, but they don't think of you as that Mercedes that they see on TV. They see you as a Mercedes who can just chill on the couch and play video games with you, because that's what
Gotcha.
I would do. So that's what I miss the most. And the first, these first 2 weekends being on the independence, it really felt very comfortable. I felt relaxed. I felt no pressure. Man, I love it. I really do. I don't think I can go back to a super big company again unless it's worth it,
Yeah, of
But
course.
I want to bring friends with me. Like, let me grab an entourage with me. You're gonna give me a contract? Well, I come with
I
these
come
people.
with them.
Like,
They're
I want
part of
them
it.
with me. Yeah, 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 like I come with them. They're part of me. Like, they got to come with me, because that's what I miss. And that's what you need. It's your support system. And that's what you need in this business. You really do, just because this business is really hard emotionally and mentally, that you need a support system. And that's what I miss most about the indies. So I'm just
Is
glad I
is it
have that
a
again.
is it a safe assumption that when you're working for a larger company, you know, you have camaraderie and you have, friends and acquaintances, and hey, it's going to be you and me tonight, so let's go out there and kill it. Let's impress the guys in the office. Let's impress everybody. But at the same time, I'm gunning for that spot that you're gunning for. So how is it? How much more competitive is it at a higher level?
It's always competitive. It doesn't matter which level you are. It's really competitive. I just think when you're at that level, you have to be on your game. When I talk about earlier, when you're at that top tier, you have to be on your game 95% of the time. There
Gotcha.
is no room for flaws, because if they're going to give you the ball, you got to stay with that ball for as long as you can, and you got to be able to bring people up with you and get them to the level that you are. So it's a balance. And when I'm at that level, I want to bring people up with me. And sometimes when those people aren't ready for you, you have to downplay yours to make them still look somewhere credible. So it's a balance, and everyone's always gunning for the top spot, whether it's their character or whether it's their wrestling. I'm a different breed when it comes to wrestling. When it came up to there, I just think my style is not for everybody. Definitely isn't for everybody, but there is a fan base for my style of wrestling. And I want to be able to showcase that and be aggressive and do what I do best and still bring everybody up to my level and be like, yes, if this spot is not for me, I want to make sure that you have that spot. Because at the end of the day, that's what I'm here for. At the end of the day, it's, if I can't do it, I want to help you get there, because that is my job, is to make sure that all my friends and all those who deserve it get that top spot. And I'm going to make damn sure that you can get there. And if you can't get there, then that's on you. But I'm going to do whatever I can to get you there. And that's the support system that we need. We don't need everyone to be cutthroat. I think everyone just needs to help everybody get there. Some are ready and some aren't. And those that aren't ready, there's no knock to them. You still got a couple of things to learn. You still got a couple of years maybe to get the experience, and you will get there. And I will still be there to help you get there. But don't knock me down in the process. That's
No,
where things probably change when it comes to that.
right, right. But yeah, I feel like one thing that might hinder that, and that's a great point what you just said. When they say some are ready and some are not, one thing that might hinder that is just maybe constant overexposure. And I'm only speaking as a fan. I've never worked in the business, but when you constantly see somebody, you're like, oh, she should be champion already. It's like, yo, chill. Like, she's only been at it for like 2 years. Like, she got way more to go. She's like 22, 23. She's gonna be here till She'll be here another 15 years, God willing, barring any injuries. Like, it's time. Like, when I was a kid, it took Macho Man forever to become champion. But if he were here today, it's like 7 months in, a month in, or excuse me, a year in, everybody's going to be gunning. Why isn't he champion yet? Why isn't he champion yet? It's like, it's because there's a lot more wrestling coming out now. I want to say maybe 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, there were some really terrible stories on the indie circuit, and some even on the larger companies of women being mistreated in the back in different ways, and getting into situations that they do not deserve to be in, by these idiotic, men that just felt that they were in a position that they can do that. I don't know how else to put it, but they were just pieces of shit. But did the sisterhood in wrestling get stronger after that? And how much more difficult was it when women sometimes are programmed to think that I won't have a job if I say anything? It's just a delicate situation. And how was it in the industry for the sisterhood? Did it get stronger? Did you guys start calling each other, you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah, I think when anything like that happens, and because we all feel it, it doesn't matter what level or how many years you are in the business, you felt it, you've dealt with it through the generations. I mean, with me being almost 21 years in, I've seen it all when it comes to females being mistreated, whether it's from their trainers, from their peers, from promoters. I've seen it all. And what it really comes down to is having that support system. It's really, these girls and these females really have to be their support system. I wouldn't have gone through what I've gone through, in my own personal experience in my early in my career, if it wasn't for a core group of girls watching out for me and I'm watching out for them. You really have to have that core support group. And if you don't, it's just you really get mentally challenged on a lot of things. And what people don't realize, and because you're not in our position, is it's that concept of, okay, if I don't do this, I'm not going to get booked. I'm going to lose my spot. I'm going to do this. Like, there's so many repercussions that you can take that they will take on you if you don't do something for them. And I've dealt with my own bullshit, and I dealt with it, but I had males and females have my back because I had a really good trainer, in Jason Knight, and I had Jazz, and I had an Angel Orsini / Riptide. I had females to help me, Alexi Fife, Mickey J. Like, I had females that would point me in the right direction and say, you don't take no shit from nobody. You got to be you. And then I had males, like Homicide, excuse me, Steve Mack, Bison, Ron Zombie, and even my trainers who would look out for me because I'm one of their own. And that's what you need in this business. You need people to look out for you, because if they're really your friends and they are really there for you, they will not let anyone do anything bad to you. If they're your brothers or your sisters, they really have to act like it. People will say things just to be on your good side, but they're really not there for you. They're there for themselves. I really believe that whole movement really solidify a lot of females to bond way tighter. It really did. And, sometimes you can get a little backlash from it because maybe people don't believe you or whatever, because the men, and I don't want to say anyone who's not telling the truth, you don't know who's telling the truth. You don't.
Sure. Yeah.
There's two sides to every story. If a female that I'm really close to told me something about a male that I'm really close to, who do I believe? There's two sides. They're
Right.
telling one side. So I get put in the middle, and I have to be that person and be like, listen, I don't believe anybody. I only go on facts. You really have to go on facts, and you have to go with all of that. And I do believe that any female who's gone through any type of whatever they've gone through, I commend them for coming out. I commend them for speaking out. My advice to anybody is speak out when it actually happens.
Sure.
Like, legit. Like, I've always spoke out when something happened to me. I said my piece. I would be like, nah, this ain't happening, in front of the locker room when people are watching. I don't give two shits who you are. If you're a name or not a name, everyone's going to know what's happening, what you're doing to me right then and there, in front of fans, in front of workers. That's when they need, because that's where you have eyes. That's
Sure. Yeah.
when people can believe you. Unfortunately, it's sad to say, 9 out of 10 times people don't believe the female. They don't. It's just the way this business is. And it's not even the business. It's just the way the world is, because it's the way you trained people how to be. And I really do believe that trainers who have female wrestlers, I believe they need to teach these females to speak up for themselves. A lot of females that get into this business are newbies. They're new. They're 19 years old or younger, 18. They're just getting away from their parents. They're exploring the world. So they're learning, but they don't know the business. Your trainers have to direct you and say, if anything, this does not happen to you. This should not happen to you. If this happens to you, you come to me. And your trainer should be able to be that figure and that authority figure to help you through that. And if they can't, then they should direct you to a female. Like, there has to be a bigger support system for stuff like that, because that stuff should not happen anymore. It should have never happened in the first place.
Right.
But this business goes like this. It goes up and down, and you have to learn over the years, and you have to change it. And that's when, wrestlers like me and us OG wrestlers, us vets, we've seen it all, and we're here to change that. And we're here to teach the new generation, hey, you can speak up. This is where you have to speak up. This is how you do it. I am here. As many phone calls as I get and emails that I get for females asking for advice and stuff that's not even wrestling related, I'm there. And that's what we need more of, is females taking that initiative to really and genuinely be there. Just don't say it, be actually there for them. And that's what I do, and most veterans do, is we are there. And this movement and what happened, it really opened up a lot of eyes for everybody. And it really opened up, to show the pieces of shit that are in this business. It really did.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And not to say that it's just us females, because men go through it too.
Definitely, yeah. But it was just it was a crazy part, and it was just huge. It just got so big. The past couple of years, I want to say, 2-3 years, the past 5 years maybe, women started being in the forefront of shows, getting in main events, getting longer matches, getting more looks, not being used in storylines where they were just objectified. They were like really treated like athletes. As a woman, and I feel weird saying that because we're in 2021, but because we're in 2021, right? I mean, there have been strong women throughout history, not only in professional wrestling, but in history. Back in the biblical times, there were strong women that nobody, fucked with them, and that's just the way it was. But why do you think in the wrestling industry it took this long for women to main event, to have longer matches, to get an influx of very athletic women who could put on a very good match rather than just entertain with their bodies?
It's funny. I had this conversation not too long ago, actually. It comes to training the crowd. It really does. It's to training the fans and giving us respect. When a promotion treats you like and subjects you to I don't want to call it the TNA, but that's really what it is, to being,
Yes.
a sex object, because that's really what it comes down to. When your promoter treats you like that, it's up to you to say yes or no. It's up to you to change that narrative. It really is. It's up to you to tell that promoter, I am not going to be objectified. I'm not going to do this spot. I'm not going to do that. You have to really change it from within. And you got to train your crowds, and you got to train these fans to see us as equals. And that's all it comes down to, is treat us as equals, as the male counterparts. And if you don't start there, then the fans and the boys in the back will never treat us that way. They're always going to see us as sex objects. When I first started, that's the first thing my trainer told me. He was like, they're going to treat you like this. They're going to ask you for this. They're going to do, he goes, but stay true to who you are. If you want to be known as a wrestler, and not just a female wrestler, but a wrestler, stay true to who you are. Dress any way you want to address you. That should have nothing to do with the bookings that you get. He goes, you should get booked based on what you know how to do, based on your athleticism and based on your wrestling. And if they come at you any other way, then you deny the booking. You deny it all, and if they have an issue, you come to me. So that's my biggest support system, is my trainer telling me that. That's where it starts, and he directs me to, the female veterans, and then you go to them if anything feels weird. So it's really training the females, and I shouldn't even have to say train, because it's not. It's really what the female wants to do. If the female wants to be, sex objectified, then that's on her. I don't knock it.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you want to go out there and strut your stuff and wear whatever you want to wear, hey, all props to you, mama. That is on you. You do whatever you want. Just keep your morals in check. Make sure that
Sure.
you don't do something stupid that's gonna knock down for all the other females that are working 10 times and 100 times hard to knock down that fucking stigma, because that's really what it is that stigma of, you have to do this, you have to dress like that, you have to look this way, you have to have the boob job, you have to have the makeup, you have to be like, get away from that stigma. Do what you got to do, make your money, make your name, but don't bring other females down for not being you. And that's really what it is. It's just, you have to train the crowd, you have to train them to love females as athletes, and they're gonna like what they like. If How many times is in my career that I've had matches where the crowds always show your puppies, show the TNA, and
Mhm.
you have to ignore them and you go on with your match, because I'm still getting paid to put on a wrestling match. I'm not getting paid to put on a stripper match. Like, I'm not getting paid for that. I'm here as a wrestler, and if other girls want to do that, that's on them, but I'm not. It's really up to you to change that narrative, and females have to change that narrative. That's where it starts. You got to say no to these promoters and these boys and these owners that want you to do something that you're not comfortable with, and direct you and try to change your character or whatever it is that they want to do. If you're not comfortable with doing something, don't do it. May you get backlash for it? Sure. But maybe that company is not worth your talent.
But you stood up for
There's
yourself, you know.
You stood up for yourself, and you can go home happy. And then you can tell the other girls, hey, this company tried to do this to me, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of the day, females won't work for that company, but you got to stand up for yourself, and you have to talk to other females. You got to spread the word. You got to be able to look out for others. Look out for yourself first, of course, but look out
Yeah.
for others. And so that way, no other females will be put in that situation. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard for a lot of females. They don't want to be that female that starts the trouble. But at the same time, I said, the moment you start that trouble, people get talking, and then it snowballs, and then people are on board with you, and people are like, yeah, I dealt with that too. It just takes one person to change the narrative. It takes one person to make that difference, and that's all you need. And more females can, really change that narrative, and change the whole outlook on wrestling, on female wrestling, and make us be like, we're wrestlers and not just sex objects. I think women's wrestling will be way more ahead of its time than it is now. It shouldn't have taken this long for us to get here. I've
Yeah.
been doing this for 21 years. I've been fighting this for 21 years. And, still we don't get the respect. Still we don't get the justification that we need. And that's because we have to change that narrative. I can only do so much. A Lufisto can only do so much in her
Hmm.
fight. A cheerleader Melissa, like, we only could do so much. It's the next generation that has to pick up where we're leaving off. When I retire, I hope that the students that I train and those that were with me will change that narrative and keep fighting the fight that I fought 21 years and then some. They have to be
Awesome.
there. And, I can direct them, I can help them. And, the boys who are with us have to talk and stand up for us too, because we need all the help we can get. Trust me, we do.
Sure. So now we
Get
we
what you
move
need, girl.
on
Get
to
what you need and then
the
some.
awesome. Now we move on to how I became a fan of you. So my girlfriend and I started dating, and I told her, I was like, look, I have a problem. I am obsessed with pro wrestling. I have it on all day. I'm gonna bother you with like YouTube videos, promos, and matches. And so 2017 rolls around, and they announced they're gonna have the Mae Young Classic in the WWE. Mae Young Classic, for those that do not know, was comprised of, I believe, 32 women in an awesome, awesome tournament that went on week after week after week. And it was just such a showcase of women that were from around the world, from different backgrounds, and it gave so many chances. It gave a large platform to so many women. and my girlfriend and I saw you, and I was like, yo, who is that? Because that woman is about to rip everybody's heads off. And so you went on, and I think you went on to the semifinals, and then I want to say that it was Shayna Baszler, right? That was your
Yeah, yeah,
last
in the first
opponent
one,
for that
yeah.
tournament. Yeah. But my God, your performance in that was awesome. How did you? What was the call like? You got the call, you got the email, and then they brought you in. And did you feel like? Did you guys know exactly what you were doing, and how important it would be for the future?
You know what? I don't think we knew. I personally did not know how important it was going to be. I've done women tournaments for so long, but this was WWE's big tournament, and the fact that they were bringing independent females in, not contract, just showcasing us independent females and mixing it up with their contract, it was like unheard of. Like it's almost like opening that, what they call now the forbidden door, letting
Right.
others see. I think it was almost like their way of saying, well, we kind of want to hire her, but let's just bring her in and let's take a good look at her, like firsthand, like in front of
Sure.
us, right? So that's how I looked at it, and I was like, all right. So for me, it was an honor, and then I'm sure it was for everyone, just to even be thought of or even get that email and that phone call. I've been on and off with WWE and Extra Talent, matches. So this was my time to be like, all right, you know what? Here I am. Let me let them know what they're missing, because sometimes they don't get to see you at your full potential unless you're there. So I didn't know how far I was going to go in the tournament until maybe the day before.
Mhm.
Um, Literally, I knew I was going to at least, I was gonna have two matches, but I didn't know that I was gonna go to the semifinals, like, at all. So I really thought that maybe, they were gonna just stop me because they've seen me before, but I don't know. I got to the finals and it was like, I mean, to the semifinals, and it was like they had this big, vignette with me and Shayna, that I was like her teacher and her mentor, like student versus teacher
Right. Yeah.
thing. So to me, it was very, yeah, it was pretty cool. But I think just for everyone and me watching everyone and stepping back, just seeing the females and seeing them get a chance to shine was worth it, just being there. I look at everything as a big moment. And that was a big moment, not just for female or women's wrestling. It was a moment for independent wrestling. Like, people, you have to look at it that way, because from that Mae Young Classic, look how many independent women wrestlers got signed. You know what I mean? And you would never have got them signed unless it was on that platform. You literally had this huge platform to literally one shot, and that's all you need. And I say it all the time. All you need is one shot to make an impact. And I want to say every female who was in that tournament, whether it was the 2017 Mae Young or the 2018 Mae Young, delivered. And they show that independent women's wrestlers are the niche of where WWE has to grab. Because I always say WWE has their form of the way they want to train you. They got the training center, and I'm not knocking it down at all whatsoever. I think it's freaking fucking phenomenal.
Mhm.
However, when you're coming from an indie background, you just have this grit and you just have this fucking hunger that you just cannot, and I mean, you cannot, like, deny
That's
that
that eye of the
independent women
tiger.
wrestlers, and yeah, like, if they want it, they see the spotlight and they're going to take it. And WWE gave him that platform, and WWE looked at him, and look how many of them got signed. Whether it was for a year, 6 months, it doesn't matter how long you got signed for. The fact that they loved you and the fact that they saw something in you, that should just validate that you worked that hard for. And, I look at it that way. I'm not selfish by any means at all. Like, great, I got signed, and yeah, this was my platform. But I look at it at a whole different aspect. Like, man, you have to look at it as like, this was our moment, and I wish it didn't have to take this long for us to get that moment. I wish it didn't have to take that long for WWE to be like, yeah, let's grab this independent workers. Nah, it should have always been that way. Don't use us as enhancements. Don't use us as extra talent, because we can go. Female independent workers can go if you give them the opportunity. And if they fail, then that's on them. They're gonna eat that, and they're gonna come out better on the other end. Like they're gonna be like, all right, and let me learn. But man, that Mae Young Classic, that it was hectic. I ain't gonna lie. It was a wild week
How was it
of
being in
putting.
there with Shayna though?
Oh, it was fun with Shayna. I don't think we I don't think we knew what we were gonna get into. I think it was more, I'm very aggressive. She's very aggressive,
Yeah,
and we were just gonna go in there and just tear it up and give the fans something different that they weren't used to seeing. That hard
definitely.
striking, her MMA, style, and me just being a technical powerhouse. Like it came together, has a really hard hitting semifinal that I don't think anyone's ever seen before. Like on TV, anyhow. Like you can see that on the indies all day, but you don't
Yeah,
see that on the main. You don't see that on that platform. And I think we gave them something, and I think that helps solidify her, and it help solidify me as the main player going forward. It
definitely.
was
So
just, it was an awesome time, and getting caught.
you
No,
did
go
a
ahead.
couple of appearances for NXT. You did the 2018 Mae Young Classic also. Um, you also played the Joker in the Women's Battle Royal for AEW. And when you came out, I was like screaming, and I'm like, yo, that's so dope. So, are there any comparisons or maybe even contrasts between AEW and WWE in terms of production?
No, I think they're, I've only did AEW twice, and it was still early, obviously, compared to what they're doing now.
Yeah,
When it came to production. But I really, in production wise, I personally think that they're on both on the same level. I really do. I think when it comes to WWE, they tend to, how do I say, they tend to give their top tier the best of the best, and then you go down from your tiers
sure.
from there. But AEW just gave everybody that big platform. They're like, everyone's a freaking star. It doesn't matter where you come from, everyone, because you deserve to be the star for the night that you're there, right? They bring you in, and they're paying you to deliver. So if they treat you like a star, your confidence level is up. You're like, yeah, I'm getting treated like a star. I'm going to be the star that they expect me to be. Let me put that on there. It's that pressure that to be, top tier. Not to say that WWE doesn't do that, but I think WWE, what happens is when you get to NXT, you're learning, and you can't be the star that you think you are, because you're not ready to be that star. Whereas on the indies and AEW kind of said, you're the star. Doesn't matter. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you're not. Go out there, show up, and show out, and do the thing that we're paying you to do. Show the world this is your platform, and that you got that one shot, right? So you got to do what you got to do. And it's creative freedom. That's the biggest difference that I see from, the two companies, or any company, is the creative freedom. You get to be who you want to be, compared to someone telling you who
On the
to
other
be.
side of that
That's the
coin,
two biggest difference that I take away.
on the other side of that coin, I feel like creative freedom can be like, all right, if you sink, that's your fault. Like, here's the mic, go ahead, do your promo, no writers. And then it's like, okay, now I really have to like input this, like, so is that like another added layer of pressure? Because it's not like you have anybody to blame, because, oh, this promo sucks, that promo sucked. Well, blame the writers because they gave me shit. But now it's like, hey, that promo sucked. Like, oh shit, like that was all me. I thought
That
that
was
was
it.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the added pressure is definitely there to make sure that your shit's on top, right? I believe that if you're gonna do your own promo, run it through a vet, run it through,
Right.
the top guys in the back, or whoever your agent or producer is. Be like, yeah, this is my promo. What do you think about it? So that way you don't look like a fucking moron on TV thinking this promo is hot shit, and then it's
I
not.
thought that was
Run
dope
it
as
through
hell, and
somebody.
then you got
Yeah,
crickets.
yeah, like run it through your agent or whoever your producer is, because obviously someone is producing your promo, right? They're
Of
telling you
course.
you have a promo. They're telling you kind of the gist of what you're supposed to say. So run it by someone. Be like, hey, this is my promo. What do you think? Should I change it? I want to get this across. Maybe I'm not wording it right. There's never no harm in asking for help. There's never no harm in asking for an opinion, or advice. Grab, someone back there who knows what they're doing, and be like, hey, what do you think? How many times I run through a promo and be like, what do you think about this promo? No? All right, let me rewrite it. What do you think? And man, none of my promos are one shots. I wish they were. But I like to get advice and I like to get someone to help me with my promos just in case, and be like, should I word this a little differently? I don't want to bomb on TV and like say something wrong that I'm not supposed to say. Like, it's
Right.
okay. It's okay to ask for help. I do it all the time.
So you finally signed with WWE under the NXT banner, and in past interviews you talk about how emotional that day was and how cathartic it might have been after all those years of working, and now you're finally like with the WWE. Did they go over like what they wanted you to be in NXT? Because from my point of view, and we've had conversations about this, all the big matches, it feels like your role was to, just like the conversation we just had a few minutes ago, to put somebody in that position, get them ready for that position. You know, they're like, oh, she's a veteran. Why is she working with somebody like that? And in my head, I'm like, well, she's probably like helping her. She's probably like, training her to get to that level. What did you feel was your role in NXT, and how seriously did you take that with all these matches that you had?
I think, and it's hard to figure it out, to be honest with you. Um, it was, I knew, I had an inkling of what my role was going to be.
Mhm.
I really thought in my head, all right, I'm going to validate my career by signing this contract. And it's the biggest moment of my career ever. Like, it validates the 20 years that I've been in. Like, it validates
Sure.
everything that I put into and all the sacrifices that I've done. Right. So in my head, and there wasn't no clear direction as to why I got signed. They knew I was, everyone knows that I'm good. I have, I have talent. I know my skills. I know what I can bring to the table. And I got signed and we hit it running, boom, match after match, the Royal Rumble, boom, boom, boom. And the pandemic hit. So, I want everyone to realize that for me, the pandemic was a blessing and a curse at the same time. It was a blessing for me only because I was still coming from the indies with injuries. You get signed and it's like nothing got stopped. Is I got signed and they're like, all right, it's match after match in the travel. And I was like, oh damn, like I didn't get a rest at all. So the pandemic kind of put me in a position to heal, and not just physically. It got me a chance to heal emotionally, and it got me a chance to heal mentally, because going as hard as I had been going for 20 years with really no breaks unless I was injured, it really takes a toll on you and it messes up everything. And personally, in my personal life, everything was wrong. So the pandemic helped me in my personal life. Professionally, it was a curse.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. And it hit me really hard. It hit me really hard during the pandemic because you have this COVID-19 happening. No one knows anything about it. I'm asthmatic. I have allergies. Like, is it going to make, like, if I catch it, am I going to die? My son over here is all, compromised because he's got 20,000 things wrong with him. So I had to put my safety and my health first and for my family's sake and opt out. So me opting out, yes, I had to put my family, but it really hurt my career there. It really
Right.
hurt the momentum that I had there, because it was hit running and then pandemic hit. And for like 7 months, you don't see nothing about Mercedes. And then coming back, how do I get that momentum that I had coming out of a Royal Rumble 7 months later? How do you get that momentum back? It's really hard to get that momentum back. And it was trying to figure out the creative and trying to figure out what worked, and being put with the Robert Stone brand. It wasn't something that I wanted, but you got to be a team player. Be like, yeah, we can make this work, right? You get the opportunity. Let's make this
Mhm.
work. And I had fun with it, but maybe that wasn't the right direction that I should have gone. But you go with it because it's an opportunity. You take the best of the opportunities and you do the best that you can.
Sure.
So as the year was dwindling down, it was like, man, what is my role now? Because everything's changed. The pandemic changed probably everyone's storylines, and those who worked got pushed through the pandemic. Obviously, I opted out for my own reasons, and it hurt my career. Do I regret it? Oh, hell no. I don't regret any decisions I made because I'm safe now. I'm healthy, you know.
Sure.
Um, but I really think that it hindered my career just a little bit because I stopped that momentum. And it wasn't just out of anywhere. Just I had to do something that I had to do, and that was it. And then coming back and Great American Bash versus Santana, it was almost like I was ready, but I wasn't ready because we're still trying to figure out the creative side of stuff, right? So it was a really, I don't know what to say. It was like, I wasn't frustrated. I wasn't, I wasn't mad. I was just like, man, just what's going on here? Like, what is the universe trying to tell me? Like, what is my role going forward? Is it something, am I going to be a major player, or am I going to be basically brought in now, since it's been almost a year? Am I going to be just used as to level up the girls and make sure that they're ready for the top spots? And that's where I was going in my head. And then I had the match with Rhea Ripley, and I was like, all right, I needed this match to solidify like what I could bring to the table in the steel cage. And then the whole
Yeah, because
Raw and
not
Retribution.
that match in particular, not only did she show that she can hang with you, but you also showed like, hey, this woman is still here. I am still Mercedes Martinez. So I feel like it was beneficial for the both of you because both of you accomplished what I feel needed to be done for your characters at that time. So Rhea Ripley, Tony Storm, and Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship. That was awesome. The table spot and Io being, I swear to God, Io for me, with all due respect, is the best female wrestler. Barring, like, I know a lot of female wrestlers and they're probably going to come after me, but Io Shirai is just amazing. But there was so NXT and WWE, they had this they had a promotional thing going. It had a campaign going for Pride Month, and you took pictures. Jake Atlas took pictures, and other people took pictures to promote it and put it on their Instagram. When it comes to something so personal, do you feel like it's very important to be open about it to help other people, or because it's something like really personal and in all intents and purposes, it's not really our business, but do you feel a responsibility on your platform that maybe I can help somebody by just talking
Yeah, I mean, it's not I don't look at it as a responsibility. I think it's to each its own on what they feel is good for them. When it came to Pride Month, and they asked me to do the promotion, I said, yeah, I'm all down. It's not like I hide it. I'm
about it?
comfortable in my skin. I just don't want it. I've never wanted it to be a big deal. I never wanted it to be
Sure.
me being, a lesbian, to be like the forefront of my wrestling. So I never ever,
Yeah.
I never acknowledged it because there was no need to. No one's ever asked me, hey, Mercedes, are you did it? No, there was never a need for that because people always just saw me as a wrestler. So for me personally, it wasn't like it's a responsibility because I don't take it as a responsibility. I'm comfortable in my skin. And if you want me to do this, yeah, I look at it as like, yeah, this is another part of me that maybe people haven't seen. Let me show them another side of Mercedes that maybe they don't know. And I got a lot of positive feedback from that because that's something that I've never done. And I felt comfortable in my skin with the pictures that I took. It was me being genuine without the makeup, without being sexified or anything. It was just me being the way I would be at home. It was just the clothes that I wear, my black sweatpants, like, my fitted hat, because I always wear fitteds and snap. Like, I wanted people to see me outside of the makeup and outside of the gear and just see me in a different light and be like, okay, she's comfortable in her skin, she's strong, and she's representing herself, and not just as a Puerto Rican, but this is another outlet of me that I can show and maybe help someone come out of their skin. And it's okay to be comfortable in your skin because you can relate to that. You don't have to be all glammed up to be comfortable. I hate getting makeup done. I hate getting my hair done. Like, I just hate dressing up, period. Like, but that's going to be it. Don't laugh. It's the truth. Like,
It's
I'm
all
such a
good. It's
tomboy.
all
It's
good. But
ridiculous.
I appreciate honesty. But I can imagine like when we go visit you, you're just gonna show up in some basketball shorts and a t-shirt, and I'm like trying to look nice for Mercedes Martinez because I'm such a big fan.
You know what? But it is like I would rather wear basketball shorts and a jersey any day of the week, just because that's what I'm comfortable in. Like if I
Sure.
have to dress up, I dress up. Like I can get down with the sexiness if I need to. Do I like it? No. Am I comfortable in it? Maybe.
Maybe.
Uh, maybe, you know, but it's just I wanted to showcase just a different side of Mercedes and that people don't see. And I think, you know, with the responses and the emails and the tweets and all the messages that I've gotten, it really helped a lot of people. And I didn't know that my platform was that big because I don't consider myself this big superstar. I just consider myself just a normal person. I'm not big on social media because I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know. I'm not that type of a female to put all my stuff out there. I'm very private. But this was something that I think it needed to showcase to help anybody out there, because I remember me coming out at like 18, 19, and I didn't have the support system. I didn't have someone to look up to in the public eye to
Mhm.
help me and be like, yeah, I can be at my time, you know, at 18, 19 years old, everything had to be closeted because of the bullying and stuff, because of who I was. So you keep it hidden. And then you kind of learn throughout the years, you find someone that you can look up to, you find your role models. And if I can be that role model and that support system for someone who really gravitates to me, then I'm going to be that person. And I'm going to be as genuine and as real as I can be to them. And that was the whole thing. And I really did, for WWE, for them to do something like that was really it was really amazing for them to take that initiative and showcase some of their pride wrestlers. And I loved every minute of it. I wish they can do more than just that 1 month though. I really do. Because Pride is not just 1 month for us. Pride for me is
Definitely,
365 days out of the year because I live it. I really do.
definitely. So around this time, you know, you're feuding with Raquel Gonzalez. You're heavily featured in NXT, and a lot of times when you develop your favorites in NXT, you kind of, as a fan, kind of don't want them to go to Raw or SmackDown because it's like 50-50. You know, you got like Damian Priest, who's the U.S. champion. It's awesome. And then you have other wrestlers that may have not uh, flourished as others do in the main roster. You kind of had a few appearances in the whole retribution thing, coming in and doing the retribution thing, and you were there with Mia Yim. And then it was reported, and you know, it can be confirmed or not, but it was reported that, you know, you just decided, you know what, I want to stay in NXT. I want to keep doing the Mercedes thing. Um, how was that conversation, and was it received well, or you know, because sometimes, like you said, you got to be a team player. Okay, fine. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it will. But what 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 uh what was the motivation behind you going and saying, you know what, if it's cool, I want to stay back here in NXT.
I think for me personally is I wanted to just be Mercedes.
Mhm.
I wanted my legacy of Mercedes Martinez to stay Mercedes Martinez. You know, I didn't want to be known in WWE as another name or be part of a faction that I really don't know what it was about. I really wanted to have that
I don't think
freedom
anybody did.
and
Okay.
be, yeah. I don't know. You know, it was just one of those things where I had to make a decision really quick, and it wasn't in it was a decision that I really had to find myself and really just say, you know, Mercedes, this is where they want you. Is this really the direction you want to go for your career? Do you really want to finish your WWE career as another name if they're going to give you another name? Or do you want to leave WWE with the stamp on your legacy as Mercedes for the last 20 years that you have been, and finish off your WWE career the way you wanted to finish off, as the strong powerhouse that everyone knows you as, and not, you know, as whatever. I don't know what their creative direction was for me for that. So I opted out. Do I regret it? Oh hell no, I don't regret it. I don't regret anything that I do because I feel it in my heart. When I feel like there's no way that my heart can give you 150% into a character, there's no way I can do it because it's going to show. And I really was not feeling whatever they were trying to feel, whatever it is that they were doing. And creatively, we, I made my phone calls and I just said, I really don't think this is a good fit for me. It's still early. And everyone agreed. There was no heat, there was no nothing. They all agreed, yes, Mercedes is better off by herself. Mercedes is better off in NXT. It was still early on. It's something that they can still keep going. So it wasn't like I was throwing a wrench into their creative. It's just I didn't know what the creative was. If I really did not know what they were going to do with this faction, and in my head, I don't like uncertainty. I don't like not knowing where my character is going. I don't like not knowing what you have planned for me because I like to be prepared. I want to be able to give you the best of me and be prepared for that. So it was what it was. There was no heat involved. They kept me off TV until we finally got the program going with EO. So it was only what, a month, maybe 2 months tops that I was home sitting, and we're figuring out creative of how to get me back into NXT, into what program, and I came back stronger than I ever did.
No,
So
yeah,
to me, it was a blessing.
that was a
You
great
know,
segment
yeah,
with
exactly.
Io,
Like,
and that was so dope. So Io Shirai, Tony Storm, Rhea Ripley, Raquel Gonzalez. Um, it's kind of between fans. A lot of people say that the NXT Women's Division is the strongest division on TV. And you being a part of it at the time, how much pride did you take in that, knowing that there was just so much talent over there? And what is there to be said about these women that you faced and helped elevate?
I think, I mean, they have a great women's division. And I've been part of women's divisions pretty much my whole career and helped build women's divisions. And for me personally, it was an honor and a blessing to be part of a women's division where all this talent is untapped. Like, you haven't seen the best of a lot of these females at all. They're just like, literally, you're just seeing a snippets of what they can do. And for me to even be a part of that and to elevate them is amazing. Like, if I can get them to the next level that they need to be, then that's my job and that's what I have to do. So I'll do it. So it's, for me personally, it was an honor, it was a blessing, and I knew what my role is after coming back to NXT. I knew what my role was going to be. It was going to help elevate whoever I was in the ring with, because they needed to be on that platform. They needed to get there. And if I had to do that, then I'm going to do that, because at the end of the day, we all want to put on a good match, and it takes two to tango to make a freaking amazing match. And if that match is amazing and I'm part of it, then y'all know that I helped build that match, and I built that girl, and I helped her get to her next level. And that's pride in itself, and that's what I take pride in, mostly even if I can't get to where they are, but knowing that maybe my match helped propel them, that's more than getting to that top spot, because that means that I did my job and that I am worthy of being in the ring and worthy of training people to get to that level, because they have the respect for me, and not even the respect, but more or less they have the trust to put me in that position to elevate these girls to that next level. And that's all that matters to me. 9 out of 10 times, I could put on a hell of a match, but if the girl can level up to me and get to that point, then it's a freaking amazing killer match. And if they can keep going and I can stay where I'm at, I'm okay with that. I really am. I've always been that female to elevate other females to get to their positions, and that's fine with me. I have no ill will. I'm okay. Like, and the women's division there is still untapped.
Yeah, those women. That whole division is nuts. Another really talented woman is Xia Li.
It's probably
And
getting dark all up in here.
oh no, it's all good. There you go. So another
There you go.
really
Yeah, it's
talented,
getting dark over here. It's getting, there we go.
yeah, we're good. Another
It's
really
dark
talented
here in
woman
Florida. Remember that.
is Xia Li, and you teamed up with Jake Atlas against Boa and Xia Li. There was a really scary part of that match where the ref decided that it was just best to end the match before anything got worse. Can you walk us through that match and what happened at the end, and if you remember anything, what was the results after that, in the back?
So the match was, everyone saw the match. It was fine. Everything was going fine. We're actually going near the end of the match, to be honest. Xia had to give me a roundhouse kick. Mind you, I've taken it so many times. I don't know if it was timing. I don't know if our spacing was wrong. But she basically kicked the living daylights out of me, like knocked me out on impact. And it's not even, and she's not reckless, because I wrestled her, and I was Xia Li's first match ever in WWE. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I really trusted her. We've had our matches, we trained together. So it wasn't like I didn't trust her. I trusted her. You know, you have to be able to trust your opponent. But she gave me the roundhouse kick, and you know, you have to protect yourself here. But usually, I've always been that person where realism comes into play. She's given me the kick before. I really trust her. I'm like, all right. I didn't even have time to put my hand up. As soon as I walked in, that kick hit me too high up on the temple, knocked me out clean. Like I don't even remember falling. I guess from that impact being knocked out, hitting the ground like I DDT'd myself, that's a double whammy of an impact. I don't remember anything after that. I remember getting up on the apron with the doctors and the trainers there. And I was just like, what happened? Basically, I had a concussion. Basically, I had a concussion and I knew it. I was like, damn it. And they were like, we stopped the match because you were just out. You were like, you were not coherent enough. And I always tell Aja, who's the referee, she's been my referee for a lot of my matches. I always say she's my guardian angel, because she knows me so well from the indies that if it was any other referee, she knows how I am. She knows I can take hits really hard and I just keep moving. But for her to call the match off like that is because she was genuinely knew that I was hurt. So she's always been my guardian angel in the ring. God bless her. But I basically had a concussion, went to the hospital. They did the scans. All the scans came negative, no broken neck, no nothing. And basically within 2 days after that, I passed my concussion protocol test, my impact test. So I was knocked out silly on TV, had the headaches, had the soreness, but I was diagnosed with a concussion, but I was able to really pass all my tests within, a week or so right after. It was almost like I needed to be knocked out for me to get shit back to normal.
Get knocked back
I
into
always make
place.
I always make the joke. I always yeah, like I had a concussion, or sometimes you get knocked woozy in a match and you see stars, and then you're foggy for days and days. But this was like a clear knocked out, and I was up and ready to go within 2 days. I was like, yeah, I'm fine, guys. They're like, well, you need to do these tests. Okay. And I'm passing test after test after test, like nothing ever happened. They're like, you got knocked out. I was like, well, maybe I needed to take a really big nap to be okay. And yeah, like I don't know, but I was knocked out, and it took like 3 weeks to officially get cleared. And once I got cleared, then they continued the program. They were going to continue the program with me, Jake, and Zaya. And boy, they were going to continue the storyline, but then they put it off because I believe Zaya got hurt. I believe she was hurt. And then I got released not too long after, like maybe a week
So,
after I got cleared.
so yeah, about a month, maybe a little bit more than a month. Um, can you talk about that day? Where were you, and you know, what was the reason? Is it the same that everybody's getting? Is it the same that everybody's reporting? I mean, it's a whole
Yeah,
that's a whole different conversation. But as far as all that, but what was your experience with that phone call, and who was it?
so my it's crazy because that they started off good. I was literally going to use bookstores because I'm a book reader, and just going to bookstores and just trying to grab some books, man.
Nice.
I ended up somewhere near Daytona. Yeah, I ended up in Daytona, and my truck broke down. And it was like 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, man, I'm waiting for a tow truck. And I get this phone call, and I didn't recognize the number at all. It was a 203 number. So I'm like, all right, Connecticut. Like, my family's from Connecticut. I get spam calls from Connecticut. I was like, whatever. I didn't even pay attention to it. I get a voicemail on it, and then I get a text saying, hey, this is John Laurinaitis. Can you give me a call? And I looked at that and I was like, I already knew. My heart was like, there it goes. I was like, so my truck is broken down. I'm getting fired. All right, let me just make this phone call. Like I made the phone call, and of course they're gonna tell everyone basically it's budget cuts. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Uh, they was like, due to budget cuts, you're getting released. I was like, all right, cool, thanks.
That
Like I'm
was
not gonna like it legit. It was just like, all right, cool, thanks. And I was like, thank you for everything. And that was the end of it. And he was like, if you have any questions, contact me. And I was like, yeah, yeah. Like he was basically he was doing his job. He had to do what he had to do. But for me, it was like, okay, here I am. I just got cleared to wrestle. I was just going into a program, and then now I'm getting released. So I know to me, it was like, it's not budget cuts. It's something more. I know they're going in a new direction. I know they're changing a lot of things at NXT. So I knew it had to be more, but they're going to tell me the easiest way out without hurting my feelings. But I know in my heart that that's not what it was. I know in my heart what it was. It's a lot of things that people don't understand when you get there. WWE has, with the opportunities that they gave me, it's a blessing to even be there. I don't take it very lightly. I don't think that there was any ill will for me getting released. I really just think that there's nothing there for me personally. There's nothing creatively that you can do with me to up my game already, because I'm already at that level. I'm already at that level. I've always been at that level. So it was what it was. And did I take a couple of days to kind of milk that? Yeah. Did I cry? Of course I did. I was a big bitch. I was a baby, man. I cried my eyes out. I cried my eyes out like there was no tomorrow. I was just like, man, and then you think of scenarios in your head, like, what did I do wrong? What could have I done better? What could I've done? And then you think outside of that box, and then you think, man, how am I going to pay my rent now? I got bills to pay. Like, how am I going to do all this? And you really just take it running. And then the only thing I knew how to do is hustle and grind, because I've done it all my life, right? So I'm like, all right, they let me go. It's cool. I can make that money. I really can. I can make that money back, because I've always done it. I always say that I don't need a company or a contract, because at the end of the day, the companies need me. They want me for what I can bring to the table. They need me or want me to boost their women's division, because I know what I'm worth. I know what I'm capable of. I have that confidence in myself to what I bring to the table. Maybe WWE wasn't the right fit for me. It wasn't the right company for me, as much as I wanted to be there, and they gave me the opportunity. Maybe at the end of the day, maybe it's not where Mercedes is supposed to be. Maybe Mercedes is supposed to be somewhere else to bring that star power that that I know I can bring. And maybe WWE has so much other people that they can shine the light on, that maybe I just didn't fit that mold. Maybe just, I don't know. I really don't know. And I won't know until, months go by, and I do what I have to do. But I hustle and grind. I keep it moving. As you know, within that 30 days that I was done, it was like, I'm hitting and
Send them
running.
all up.
I'm getting my matches. I'm getting,
These
boom. I'm
matches are
saying,
nuts. That is
I'm lining
awesome.
them up, baby.
So
Yeah.
so the father, the godfather of NXT, the guy who created it all and brought it into a direction that we all love, unfortunately had some health scares recently. What was your relationship with Triple H like, and how was he behind the scenes with you and your direction and what you brought to the table?
I, to be honest, it was always business.
Hmm.
I've always kept myself at a business point with everybody there. Unless you knew me from the indies on a personal level, I didn't let a lot of people in, because I looked at it as, this is my job of employment. Everything was always going to be business. We always had a business relationship. When I got hired and I finally got to sit down and talk to him, or stand up, I guess, because we were standing up or we're talking, it was more like him saying, sorry it took us so long to get you here. It was just never the right timing to bring Mercedes in. We always wanted you, but there was just never the right time. We didn't know what to do with you. And I was like, no, I'm just glad to be here now. What is
Yeah.
my role now to be here? And, that conversation went to the fact that, hopefully there will always be something here for someone like you. When you hang up your boots, there's always going to be something, maybe going to a trainer. And I was like, yeah. I was like, when that time comes, we will talk again. And that was really the only one-on-one conversation we really had for the year and a half that I was there, because, like I said, the pandemic hit. So I didn't want to be near really anybody. Creatively, I think when I came back to NXT with the EO and stuff, it was more when he was hands-on with my character, more hands-on with my promos, and not directly towards me, but especially with the TN Shaw stuff, that was really hands-on, where he's like, Mercedes, you have to do, and that's where it was really cool to see his workings and how his brain works. And I was like, man, that's cool. But I gravitated towards like a Regal all the time for all my stuff, and gravitated towards, Armstrong. And that's where I gravitated to, because I knew where I wanted to go with my direction, my creative. But with the, with Paul and Triple H, it was more or less just business. It was, all right, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And that's how I kept it. It's not that I didn't feel comfortable with him or anything. That's just the way it was. I guess, I don't know. That's not the way I came out. I don't know.
Yeah. Would you consider a coaching position in NXT if it was offered to you?
I'm not sure. I think it just depends on, I really do think it just depends on when, if it does get offered, where am I in my career at that point? Am I doing training on my own, or am I still killing it on the indie scene and wherever else I'm going to be at? Yeah. Because all I ever want to do is wrestle. That's really all I want to do. Why do there's a reason why I lined up all these great matches coming up, because I really just want to showcase and fucking wrestle. I don't mind the entertainment part of wrestling. Don't get me wrong. I can be comedic. I can be whatever, but I want to do it as me. Like, I don't want to feel forced into something. And if anybody's watched me at Shimmer, especially at Shimmer, where I can be comedic and be a jackass and be sarcastic. If you ever watch me there, and the stuff that comes out my mouth, sometimes people laugh at it. I'm like, well, that's just me. That's me, Mercedes, being a little personal and showing a different side. I want to do that on my own time. I just want to wrestle. Like, I'm going to be 41. All I want to do is wrestle and give the audience and everyone the best matches that I can give at this point in time. And I couldn't showcase it in the year and a half. I really couldn't. So I want to do it now and showcase and be like, yeah, I can still fucking go with everyone out there. I'm going to go with the 18 and the 20-year-olds, and I'm going to give them way more than they ever gotten. Like, I'm going to blow them off the fucking water. Like, you're how old are you? 25? Well, girl, I'm 41 and I can still go. You huffing and puffing? Nah, bro. We ain't gonna do this.
Well, people around the whole country, people around the whole country will be able to see you live. Just guys, just make sure you keep up with Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes, we just have a lightning round to go through. I'm gonna give you some real quick questions, and you give me the first answer that comes to your head. Who is the best Batman?
Oh my God. I have to say Keaton.
Nice. Favorite donut?
Favorite donut will be Boston cream.
Would you rather be trapped in Jurassic Park or Jumanji?
Jumanji.
And last, what would be the advice that you give to that young lady that faced Victoria on Sunday Night Heat?
Oh my God. Stay true to who you are, always. Your time will come when it's ready.
Awesome. Mercedes, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The handles are @RealMMartinez. They're all are verified. So if they're not verified, then it's not me. Trust me.
Awesome. This is D. You can find me at DNC Digital on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Mercedes, thank you so much. I know I've been chasing you around ever since the news came out, and I'm like, I need to get you in. And I appreciate your friendship and how cool you've been this whole past year. I want to say it's like a whole year we've been talking, like just chilling on
something
Instagram
like that,
and Twitter. Yeah. But I appreciate everything, and I appreciate your time. Thanks, guys, so much. Everybody have a good night and take care of yourselves.
Thank you. Appreciate it.